I've got something on the embroidery machine, and this is going to be something that's going to become a gift. Stay tuned. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen, the Idiot Quilter. Yeah, had to think about this. Anyways, this is what I need. Definitely what I need. And I just realized I need to have my phone out as well. We're going to check the weather at some point. And yeah, okay. I slept well last night too. That's the thing. Because I took my secret pill. Yeah, my little edibles. Yeah, that helps my legs, I find. And lately, just an update on my health, on my legs. They haven't been giving me so much trouble lately. Not sure why, but that's okay. I'll take it. And the little gummies that I bought with the combination of CBD, not CBC, CBD, and a little touch of THC really do help me sleep better at night and seem to alleviate some of the pain in my legs. So anyways, well, that was probably more information than you're expecting this first thing in the morning. More coffee. I hope you've got a cup of coffee with you too, because I have no idea how long this is going to be today. I always tell you I think it's going to be short, but it doesn't work out that way. So we'll see. We'll just go with the flow, shall we? So as I said, welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen. This is episode 458, and it is June the 15th, 2026, halfway through the month. And in a month's time, it's my birthday. Yeah, I'm going to be 29 again for the 50,000th time. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at what I'm working at right now. And I'm not going to say much about it, just giving you a sneak peek. But yeah, these are all components I've been playing with in order to get some sense of how I'm going to put together my Japanese quilt. And you can see I've been dabbling in the world of foundation paper piecing. Hate it. And I've been doing some machine embroidery too. And I've got some more ideas on the machine embroidery side. I think I'm going to abandon the foundation paper piecing. More about that, though, tomorrow on The Idiot Quilter, and more about this whole process I'm going through right now with this quilt. I haven't been really as excited about it as I should be. I don't know what's wrong with me. Ever since we got back from Japan, I just have not got back, and now I'm choking up, 100% of my sojo. So yeah, and actually the 3D printers have been quiet for about 3-4 days because I'm not seeing anything that's turning me on that I want to make with the 3D printers. But more about that later on when we get to the 3D printing part. So yeah, that's about all I have to show you when it comes to what I have been working on, which isn't a heck of a lot. So as I said, I'll talk more about that on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow. Okay, so comments from last week's videos from subscribers, nothing. No, nobody made any comments that, most comments were just kind, which is nice. But nothing really there to point out or to, carry on with one of the topics I was already talking about. So yeah, but I want you to know I read them all. And I try to let you know. Now, I don't know if you're seeing this or not, but if I have a comment comes through and it's a comment that really just adds to our general knowledge about what we've already been talking about, I'll hit the little star or little heart button. I don't know if you see that at your end. But that lets you know that I did read your comment. I just had nothing more to say about that. But if you do have specific comments or questions, please put them in there because I do read all of them. And I will respond to all of them in one way or another. I enjoy reading your comments. It's one of the first things I do every morning when I get up and turn on the computer and start getting my day planned out. I will go and check to see what comments have come in the night before. So yeah, please comment. Okay, so what's been happening at home and elsewhere on the federal or in the political scene? Let me get my notes up here, first of all, because it's been a busy week. Let's see, where are they? I have them somewhere. They're hiding on me. Ugh, you gotta love a Mac. It's a love-hate relationship. Okay, let's go down here. Let's put that down there. Ah, this is what I am looking for up here. Window upon window. So here are the headlines for my country, for Canada, over the past week. So in the federal level, we have under 16 social media tabled. The federal government officially introduced legislation to ban social media platforms for children under the age of 16 to counter rising online harm. Okay, there's been a lot of information about this kind of thing happening. Australia has already done this, and I think we're taking our cue from Australia. In many ways, Australia is ahead of many countries of the world in the way that their government gets very much involved, and not in a negative way, at least from my perspective. Maybe if you're an Australian, it might be different. But looking at it from the outside in, I think a lot of the legislature that Australia has passed really is a benefit to their citizens. Like, they have had severe gun control laws, excuse me, for years. And they stick to it. And if you ever travel to Australia, I'm sorry about my voice. Just give me a 1 second here. I'm just going to go on pause. Okay, sorry about that. Morning frog, they creep in there in the night. Anyways, the saying about Australia, if you ever go to Australia, you will notice how protective they are of their country when you're coming into it. Absolutely no food, nothing like that. And if you want to see how strict they are, there are YouTube videos about border security. And yeah, don't try to smuggle something into Australia, no matter how tiny it is. Don't try to bring in a banana or something like that, because they will get you. And, that's a good thing. They're protecting their environment. So I have no qualms about that. But back to the social media ban, they've already been doing it. And yes, it is somewhat controversial. However, I agree with this, that our government is doing. There is too much out there that kids have access to. And it is bad. It is really bad. I do blame the media companies for doing this. They lie to us, and it is a lie. Let's face it. They spin it, but it's a lie. They could do a lot more, but they don't, because one of their targeted consumer demographic are kids, for selling things. So that eats into their bottom line, their profit. They already have enough money, but enough is never enough, I guess. So yeah, they need to do more. So since they're not doing more, the governments need to step in. And it's funny, I saw kids being interviewed about this, and they didn't seem to be that fazed by it. And you know why? The chief instigator, well, the two, really, in my opinion, online media or social media bases that do the most harm are Facebook and Twitter. Facebook has been abandoned by the kids for the most part. It's mostly adults on there. I don't go on Facebook. I have had an account for years, of course. Who hasn't? But I don't use it anymore. But I see the same thing all the time. I get sometimes from some of the people that are still on my Facebook as listed as friends. You can have 50,000 friends on Facebook. And I did at one time. I was like befriending everybody. That was a problem. I get notice that they've posted something new, and they're stupid. The things that are posted are just stupid. I really don't care what restaurant you just went to. In fact, I don't really care where you've been on your vacation either, and seeing you standing there taking a glamour shot in front of some monument. I don't. I don't. I don't mind hearing about your trip if we should meet and have lunch or something like that. But otherwise, I'm not going to go on. And people who feel they need to comment on everything that's on Facebook, no. No, that's just stupid. Most of the comments are stupid. I mean, on occasion, there are some things that are brought to light on Facebook, but then you have to question the validity of it too, right? And in this day and age of fake news and everything else, well, yeah, I stay away from it. And I'm glad to see that kids are smart enough that they're staying away from it too, but you know why they are. My nephew and niece, they don't go on Facebook anymore. I asked them about this a few years ago, and they're not kids anymore. They're 30. But, I said, I tried to send you happy birthday wishes, on your Facebook page. Oh, yeah, I never checked that. Because they know the parents are checking it. So they have other ways of communicating. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's some other social platform that only people under the age of 16 know about. It's a big secret society. I think what it is basically they just text. They have their friends, they're all in their phone. They're so fast with those thumbs. I can't do the thumbs. I'm a full keyboard typist. Um, yeah, I have a feeling that's what they do. Kids, kids want their privacy. So I don't think they're going to be too upset about this legislation. It's more or less out there to appease the parents because there's been a big outcry about all of this. So, I think the best thing parents can do is take control of your children. Teach your children from the day they come out of the womb and you've handed them their first cell phone, how to protect their privacy. And, there are certain things that are not appropriate for them to be in. It will teach them young. And then that becomes a habit and becomes a good habit. Okay, so further on in here, we've got new Governor General installed. Former Supreme Court Justice UN High Commissioner Louise Arbour was sworn in as Canada's 31st Governor General, calling on Canadians to embrace national unity. Okay, what's a Governor General for those of you that aren't in Canada? Governor General represents the King in Britain because we still are a monarchy. Although it's only a constitutional monarchy, it's only a symbolic position. The king has absolutely no say or control over anything our government does in this country. We still hang on to this old vestige from back in the colonial days. And I really don't think we should. We do not need a governor general. And oh, by the way, every province has a lieutenant governor general as well. So there's a hierarchy here. Those people get paid out of our tax dollars and they make good money. And they have expense accounts and the whole bit. And really, cushy job. They go and cut a few ribbons. If the king comes over here or something on a visit, they're hanging on to them like their personal servant. Really, why? We do not need them. And we need to get rid of them. However, that means reopening up our Confederation laws that are in there. And I guess there's a whole lot of problems with doing that. But in the meantime, we're paying hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars every year to keep this governor general, lieutenant governor system in operation. For what purpose? Are we getting value for our money? I would say not. But there it is. A very expensive symbolic position. So we have a new lady in here, and she made her symbolic little speech from the throne kind of thing. She wants Canadians to embrace national unity. Yes. Can we talk about what's obvious? Yes. Do we have a separatist problem in Canada? No. Did she just emphasize that? Yes. So right off to a great start, in my opinion. Okay. So what's her plan to embrace national unity in your position as Governor General? How are you going to do this? You have no power. So they're just empty words. So, get rid of the Governor General. We do not need that position. Okay, next thing, forced labor import ban. Ottawa moved to significantly tighten its ban on products made with forced labor following tariff threats from the United States. So here we go again with Trump and his tariffs. And the Supreme Court said that he did something illegal. Oh, really? Well, isn't that a surprise? Knocked me right out of my shoes on that one. So he decided to put another 10% on us in Canada or any country that buys products from companies that have forced labor. Okay, on the one hand, if this wasn't declared by Trump, and we know why he is doing this, it has nothing to do with morality or working conditions of that kind of thing, or to help out third world countries. We know it's not. It's punitive to everybody else in the world because the United States have been treated so unfairly for so many years. Um, it would be a good thing because forced labor is a bad thing. So Ottawa's decided to appease Trump to a certain degree. Again, this isn't necessarily bad because they're saying it's tightening its band on anything that comes into this country, any businesses that are buying things from a country that has forced labor. So, yeah, that's a good thing, but it's come about in a roundabout way. Alberta Unity Campaign. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre launched a campaign in Calgary urging Albertans to reject separatism and instead push for federal policy changes from Canada. Wow. He is from Alberta. He is the official opposition. He is a jerk, an idiot, an a-hole. He has very far-right beliefs as well. He is basically, he and his party are the Canadian version of the Republicans. So here he is telling Albertans to get off the pot and reject separatism. Well, bully for you, Pierre. But the only reason he's doing that is because he knows this is an opportunity for him to get into the limelight again and look like he's doing something for Canada. He doesn't give a crap about Canada. All he cares about is he wants to be prime minister. And that would be disastrous for our country if he should ever win an election. But anyways, I guess anything that goes against separatism, anything that causes strife within our own country on that level, I guess is a good thing. Again, it's sort of a backhanded way of doing something good. Okay, so in the climate and public safety, well, poor old Manitoba, storms and tornadoes, heavy wild weather, including confirmed tornadoes, swept through Manitoba, sparking local criticism over provincial flood response. Manitoba has a history of flooding. So this has been an ongoing war. It becomes important suddenly when they do get flooded. Once the floodwaters have receded, so does the government in its response to putting in infrastructure that will make flooding less of a danger. But what's really got me worried this year again is forest fires and tornadoes out west. I am hoping they are getting rained on. I haven't checked their weather lately. We've had a fair amount of rain here over the last few days, but they really need it every summer out west because hectares upon hectares of forest is being destroyed, not to mention communities and houses and infrastructure and all of that. It's terrible. Anybody who says climate change is a joke isn't true. Well, I don't know. I think it is when you look at all those kind of things. And it's not just out in our western provinces in Canada. It's in the eastern provinces too. And it's right down into the United States. So, yeah, we have just, pardon my lingo, fucked up the environment majorly. And then there's been a shooting. Oh, surprise, surprise. When is there news that doesn't talk about a shooting? A Toronto police officer was killed during a gunfire exchange while executing a search warrant in North York. Oh, okay. I just mentioned before about the gun control laws, how severe they are in, or how strict is a better word for it, in Australia. Well, we need to tighten these up here in Canada too, majorly. Now, a lot of these guns are getting smuggled into this country from across the border. Well, let's do something about that, shall we? Let's tighten up our border control. It would really help if the Americans would get rid of the NRA and get rid of their Second Amendment. That would help a great deal. But that's not going to happen anytime soon because Americans love their guns. We in Canada are not so much in love with them. And the people that are doing these killings, these shootings, are criminals already. Many of them already have records, and they're out. They're out on bail, they're out on parole, whatever. And that's another problem here in our country that our federal government needs to get on the ball with. They need to make the laws more strict on criminals, criminal behavior. We need to make the consequences of criminal behavior much more severe so that they might think twice. We also need to put money into mental health and that kind of thing as well, because, many of these people who get involved in crime do have issues that should have been dealt with earlier in their lives, and there's just not the resources here to do it. And yet we have all this money that we have put into FIFA. Where are our priorities? Well, we know where our priorities are, and they're not in the good way. They're not going in the right direction. So in the foreign affairs, Russia drone tensions. This is interesting. Russia officially labeled Canada as a warmonger and issued threats following a new drone supply agreement between Canada and the Ukraine. I don't ever think I've ever heard us referred to as warmongers. Peacekeepers, yes. Warmongers, not. Well, Russia, Putin, if you do not like us giving money or supplying drones to Ukraine, why don't you stop fighting them? It would save us all a lot of anguish, especially the Ukrainians. Like another tyrant on the other side of the world. Isn't it nice that the whole world is sandwiched between two tyrants? Yeah. And Kuzma. Everything's about Kuzma. If it's not about FIFA, it's about Kuzma. Our North America Trade Act or whatever between, our country, the United States, and Mexico. And of course, Trump, he says he's not looking to renew the Kuzma trade agreement, prompting responses from Canadian trade ministers working to stabilize relations. He's using Kuzma to do his thing, threaten us, negotiate, he calls it. It's not negotiation. It's just threat after threat after threat. He's saying he won't renew it. Well, I don't think they're saying he doesn't really have any choice one way or the other because of the way it was written. And he was there when it was written up in his first term in office. But then we know that doesn't matter to him, really. He says one thing, does something else, changes his mind, like he changes his underwear. And there's a visual you don't want in your mind. So who knows what Kuzma is? But I think it's going to be a tough negotiation, and I put negotiation in quotation marks, with Trump, with our team from Canada, because we're not pushovers. And I think maybe Americans are starting to understand that their quiet little neighbor to the north, isn't quite the little pussycat that they thought we were. No, 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 no. We are not. We walk softly, to use an American term, but carry a big stick. Yeah. So that's the news in Canada this past week. And what's happening here at home? Well, we had a sew day at the club on Saturday, Walter's group. We had a record number, I think, there. I think there was 8 of us. There were some old faces hadn't been there for a while, and there was a new body as well. And this person, I'm going to have to use the pronouns correctly, they joined us, and they were working on some embroidery, hand embroidery, and it was beautiful. And it wasn't from a pattern. They had made it up themselves. It was kind of an abstract, but it was really nice work. So I hope this person will come and join us again at our next one in July. It's always good to have new people in there. It's good to have some fresh faces and fresh ideas. So yeah, now, did we get much done? Well, Walter was just a social butterfly, don't you know? Yeah, he was just flitting around to everybody, chatting up. I don't think he even got on to until about lunchtime did he ever get started on his shirt, and he showed his latest shirt, which he's making for himself. It's about time, probably. I have lots of them, but I can never have too many. Um, but he showed that work in progress yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. And I was working on the thing you saw already, my Japan quilt, and I just got frustrated with it. But again, I said I would talk about that in more detail tomorrow on Idiot Quilter. Um, and that's the other thing that's been happening this week, just being frustrated a lot with my sewing. I don't know what's wrong with me. I really don't. Now we have been invited to Walter's nephew's place to a concert every summer. Our great nieces, they're very musically talented. If you've been here for some time, you've heard me talk about this before. Um, they both they're both girls, are great nieces. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Great nieces, girls. Yes, that's how it works. Um, one of them, the older one, she is in just finishing up grade 9, and the other one is going, I think, into grade 8 next September. They both play guitar, and they play other musical instruments too. There's a hurdy-gurdy in there. If you don't know what a hurdy-gurdy is, it's sort of a cross between an accordion and a small piano, and yeah, it's quite an instrument, and not something everybody plays. So that's kind of unique. I think they play trumpet and flute as well. These girls are extremely talented. So every year, around this time of the year, they have a little concert in their backyard for family. And so they're having it, though, this year on the 28th of June, which is a Sunday. And that's when we do Stephen and Walter Live. So on the 28th of June, last Sunday in June, we will not be doing a live. I will remind you of that because their little concert doesn't start until 2 o'clock. And then we have pizza and everything like that. It's a family get together. So yeah, that won't happen that day. So that's coming up, and I've been busy kind of getting things together. I like to take them a little gift when I go. I've given them quilts before and other things, 3D printed. This year I'm giving them, I made a couple of Holland duffel, they're called. It's a very popular pattern for making these little duffel bags. And I have 2 of them that I made. And they turned out great. And I made them some time ago, and they've been hanging on the back of a door since then. And I'm thinking to myself, am I ever going to use these? Probably not. But I thought, these girls might like those. So that, and I've made them each a music portfolio. And I'll show you those tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter that I've been working on. So I think I've got little things for them this year as well. Yeah, so that's coming up. Let's see. Oh, okay, so what else is coming up soon? Advance notice. Stephen's birthday bash pop-up sew day. That's a long phrase, but I always have a pop-up sew day to celebrate my birthday. My birthday's in July the 14th, Bastille Day in France. Yes, yay. And this pop-up sew day is always, I make it a little bit more special because I have prizes. More details about that will be coming out. You don't have to sign up for it or anything like that. It's not like one of my retreats. It's a normal pop-up sew day, except it's all about me. And you're saying, and when isn't it all about you? I don't have a problem with that. Do you have a problem with that? I don't have a problem with that. Anyways, that is going to be on July the 11th, Saturday, July the 11th. Stay tuned for the link and everything. That'll come up the week before. And everybody's welcome. And it's come and go as you please kind of a thing. So yeah, come and help me celebrate my birthday. Maybe win a prize. Yeah. What those prizes are, I do not know. But there will be prizes. Okay, so my sister contacted me the other day, and she said, if you're going to Costco anytime, we go to Costco at least once a week. She said there was a couple of things she wanted me to look for and pick up for her. Now, I have tried to talk my sister into getting a Costco membership, but she says no. She says, I don't need a case of this or that. It would be way too much. Yeah, and I've tried to say to her, look, you don't have to buy a case of canned corn or that. There are other items there, big ticket items that you might be interested in, like televisions, appliances, things like that, that are usually a very good price. It does, you buy one of those once, it's paid for your membership. Memberships aren't that expensive. But no, she's just like my mother used to do to him. No, my mother would get me to get her stuff from Costco all the time, but nope, didn't want one of those cards. Wasn't going to get a membership. Of course, mind you, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so I could see that. My sister could afford a membership. But anyways, I went and got her what she wanted. And yeah, so, there's a lot of people out there like my sister who don't think they can justify the cost of the membership. Well, we have executive membership, which means we get money back over the course of the year. Usually we spend enough money at Costco to get enough money that basically pays for the membership. And I think we pay $120, $130 for the executive. But there's one membership, I believe, lower than that, where you don't get this extra perk, but it's a little cheaper. But it's under $100. The first time you go in there and you buy something that's a more of a major buy, you will get your money back from that. It'll be worth it, in my opinion. Some people know, and yeah, if you are, on a very tight budget, spending money on a membership for something like this that you're not sure you're going to use on a regular basis, I get it. You may not be interested, but for the most part, I've always been very happy with Costco. And it is one of the few American companies that I do support. But the reason being is they support Canada. They hire Canadians and they pay well and they treat their employees very well. And I think that's part of the Costco experience that as a consumer, we get a benefit from, because Costco employees are always friendly, are always very helpful, and they're always very efficient. I mean, I remember the days when you'd go to Costco and you'd line up with your cart of stuff, and there'd be about 10 people ahead of you in that lineup with a million things in their cart too. And you'd wait and you'd wait. They were fairly efficient, but you waited. But now they have the self-checking out stands as well as the regular ones. And oftentimes we've had somebody who works there come up with us with their portable scanner, and they'll scan my membership card and they scan everything in our cart. And all we do is pull up to one of those kiosks, hold up our card to the screen, everything comes up, bang, we don't have to take anything out of our cart and rescan it, and we're in and we're out of that checkup in under a minute. I think that's fantastic when they do that. And that just keeps things flowing, because Costco can be very busy, and depending on the day of the week you go, although we've been every day of the week, and it never seems to lighten up. It always seems to be pretty busy there. But, it's stuff like that. They're very, very efficient. Great sales. And if you have the executive card, no, I do not work for Costco and I do not get a commission for this. If you have the executive card, you get executive coupons all the time for things. And, we have taken advantage of those coupons many, many times, because they are usually things that we want or need. So, yeah, I love Costco. It's right up there with my other loves, like IKEA. But don't get me going about IKEA. Okay, so nothing else really has been going on this week. So what's coming up this week? Nothing. Nope, nothing. Well, there is one thing that's coming up today, right after I get off of here, that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But first of all, let's talk about new products. Well, I don't have anything really to show you that I have bought of any exciting or of any excitement, but let me just find my button here. Yeah, here we go. So I mentioned my birthday. In another couple of weeks or so, Walter's going to say, "So, what do you want for your birthday?" And I'm going to say, "I don't know." And he'll say, "Well, I don't know what to get you." And this happens to both of us all the time. Now, I'm trying to think. His birthday was in January. Oh, yeah, I got him the travel bag for his surgery, which is a very nice bag. Like that little sucker cost me about $300 for it. But, he wasn't he didn't have anything to put his surgery in, and you want to protect. It's an expensive piece of machinery, and when he goes to his classes and things, or to his so days, he needed something to get that there and keep it protected. So that was great when I figured that out, that I could get him. So then I got thinking, how can I make his life easier? So Amazon has this thing called a wish list. And you see something you want, but you don't want to buy it really that day, you can drop it into the wish list. So I have a wish list, and I'm going to show you what it is. Now, first of all, you're going to laugh because it is power tools. Yeah, me and power tools. But here is my wish list. There is a line of products that I have seen a lot of 3D printers, people who do 3D printing are into, and they're by a line called Fantic. And it has a fairly good reputation, but they have a whole variety of these rechargeable tools. So one I'm really interested in is this one right here, which is a electric screwdriver. This is their top model, I believe, and that's really not that expensive for this kind of tool. For a quality tool, $160. This is Canadian prices, by the way. So there's that, but there's other things like this one isn't high on my list, but it's a cordless electric scissors, um, which has got a cardboard cutter with two blades. Actually, he'd end up using that more than me because he goes out and breaks up boxes for recycling all the time. But it said it can cut carpet and leather and that kind of thing, and I'm thinking, I wonder how it is on fabric. Then there's, okay, I don't know why this one. Well, I put it in here, but I don't really. I have something now that I like very much that works, but it's here in my list. It is a mini vacuum cleaner, but it's supposed to be really, really powerful, and it's very lightweight, like slim, in comparison to what I already have. So, possibility. And then there's a soldering kit that they make. Now, I don't do any soldering, so why would I want this? Well, maybe I would solder more. I don't know. And this is the rotary tool kit, which when you're cleaning up prints from the 3D printer, sometimes you need to sand down some rough spots and things like that. I do have a Dremel. I've never figured out how to use it. Actually, it's not my Dremel. It is Walter's Dremel. I bought it for him years and years and years ago, and he has never used it. So it sits in a corner gathering dust. I pull it out every blue moon. It's kind of an awkward thing to use. It has a cord, and once you pull it out of its little case and everything, trying to get it all back in the case is a pain in the butt. So I thought something like this might have multiple uses. And even say here for 3D printing, sanding, polishing, drilling, carving. So yeah, so this is something. So the two things on this list I'm really most interested in is the rotary cutter and the screwdriver. So if he asks me, I will say, well, I do have a wish list on Amazon if you want to take a look at it. Of course, and I think I can share this too. I think there's a way you can share it with somebody. So, he could surprise me by one of these things off of my wish list. So we'll see. We'll see what he has planned. If he has a plan. Yeah. Okay, so I shared that with you. Let's see. Highlights from the last week's videos. Monday morning coffee last week, we talked about Pride Month because it is Pride Month, and I had a little rant near the end of that about the whole thing that's happening, why having a Pride Month, a Pride Parade, all that kind of stuff is still very, very important, possibly even more important right now than it ever has been before, especially for Americans. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to tune into that. That's in the last 5 minutes of the video. On the Idiot Quilter, I talked about my sojo. I said it was back. I lied. It's not. More tomorrow. On So Chatty, we had two topics actually, both suggested by subscribers. One was they wanted to know more about the stripology ruler system, so I did a video about that. And it looks like a lot of people appreciated that because a lot of people have had stripology rulers for years and have never used them. Yeah. So I think I gave that new life. I should get a commission. I don't. I don't. Not affiliated with GE Designs, you know, who invented the stripology ruler. And then we talked a little bit about what makes a good instructional video because after my experience with trying to figure out how to use the double wedding ring AccuQuilt die and going to AccuQuilt's actual videos about it, I was very disappointed. And other people mentioned the same thing, that they have gone to those videos from AccuQuilt and they've learned nothing. So yeah, so we talked about what makes a good tutorial video or instructional video. And on Stephen and Walter Live, we talked about something very scary, a movement in the United States called Turning Point, which is directed towards women, and it's basically very, very much anti-women. It's women talking about women being subservient to their husbands. Oh, my, like, and as I mentioned, visions of the night of the Handmaid's Tale on that one. Scary thing. Okay, so coming events. Well, we have Sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays as usual. 9 a.m. Eastern Time start. We go until about 4 p.m. Come and go as you please. The link is always in the show notes for all of my videos every week. So if you've been a little bit shy about joining us, don't be. We're a friendly group. We love having new people join us. It's a great time. It gives you an opportunity to, not sew in isolation. It's always fun to sew with other people. I find I get more done. I'm more inspired by it. So yeah, please consider it. If you've been thinking about it, stop thinking. Just do it. You won't regret it. Okay, so that takes me to our weather right now. So let's take a look live from my front door ring camera and let's see what the day is looking like here. And it's looking damn good. Now, when I got up, it was 8 degrees Celsius. That is coolish. And right now, as I look at my watch, it is 9 degrees Celsius. So if you figure that out, that's about 9 and 9 is 18, 48 degrees, 48, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's brisk. And it makes me wonder, should I put on a light sweater when I go out for my walk after this or not? Not sure. Let's see what the rest of the day brings to us. So the high is going to be 19 degrees, which is very comfortable, but still a little bit cool for this time of the year. But it looks like it's going to be sunny all day today. And tomorrow, though, we've got a 40% chance of showers, but a little warmer, 21 degrees. In fact, for the rest of this week up until Saturday, it's going to be 21 degrees Celsius as the high. And even Saturday is going to be 20 degrees and Sunday 21. So, nice. But rain every day this week, not with the exception of today. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 80%, Thursday, 95%. Friday 50%, Saturday 35%. Sunday's going to be sunny. So yeah, we're getting a fair amount of rain, and I don't know if that's normal for this time of the year or not. But then again, we can use the rain. You look how nice and green the lawn looks. And if you want to see the backyard, let's do a little scan around here. Here's the back. Now, Walter planted, can I blow this up? I don't know. I guess I can't blow that up any bigger. Anyways, this is the backyard, and back here in this corner, Walter has put in a rhubarb plant. Yes, this is the first landscaping, as it is, that we have ever done in the backyard in 31 years that we have lived here. Our neighbors will be thrilled when they look over and see that. He's thinking of putting in another like corner garden over on the opposite side and putting in some hostas there. So yeah, we don't move too quickly on things. 31 years? Yeah, we had to decide on what it was going to look like. But I'm really excited about the rhubarb. And one thing led to another. First of all, I think he was just going to pull up some sod, dig a hole, put in some dirt and throw in the rhubarb. But then he thought he should do something different. He had seen it on YouTube where instead of pulling up the sod, you lay down cardboard on top of it and then put down your dirt and everything like that and plant your whatever you're going to plant. And that supposedly keeps the weeds down. I guess people do that with mulch as well. And I've heard of people who have dug up flower beds and put plastic down and that kind of thing. But the cardboard is biodegradable, and so over time it will rot away. But in the meantime, well, we'll see if it keeps the weeds down. I don't think the bunnies or any of the other little creatures we have roaming in our backyard, usually at night, are going to do anything to the rhubarb because rhubarb leaves are poisonous, and they're probably clever enough to know that. So yeah, that's going to be kind of nice. I think, well, we have strawberries up on the deck. I'll come to that in a minute. But I was just thinking it might be nice to put in a few strawberry plants back here too. But then we're not really sure how much maintenance strawberries need. We have read that you should, if you have strawberries, you should put straw around the base of them to keep the flower part where the berries will come from, or the berries from hitting the ground because they will rot. So we'll see. It's experimental crop. Right now they're in containers on the deck. But anyways, yep, so that's what things are looking like temperature-wise here. So, talking about what's growing, well, let's take a look at, if I can get things out of the way here, and let's just see. Okay, so how are things growing around here? Well, let's take a look at the grow lights first, shall we? Okay, Dad. Yeah, these have to be cleaned out and there has to be a new crop of stuff put in there. I don't know what Walter has planned for starting. He's already done that in these pots. There's a little thing coming up here, green. I'm not sure what he's got in here. I think he's put in lettuce, but I'm not sure. We've given up on the idea of growing lettuce outdoors. It actually does grow okay outdoors, but it comes on late in the summer, whatever variety we have. And yeah, once it's come on and everything, it's done. Whereas if we grow it under the lights, we have it pretty much all year round. And here's what the jungle looks really nice right now. It's all cleaned up. A lot of the tomato plants Walter has taken and planted outdoors. These are new pepper plants he's got started coming up. I think he might actually have a bean, but I'm not sure if there is. These plants he's kept in here, the tomatoes, and they're looking a little, they've perked up a little bit since whatever he's been doing with them. This is a bamboo plant. Okay, this used to be in our bedroom. And for years it has looked dead. Well, possibly because we never water it. That would do it. But then we learned when we were in Japan that if you cut back your bamboo, it will throw up new shoots. And it looks like that's what it's doing. So we've had this for quite a few years. Um, Probably 12, something like that. I think we got it. Well, we still had Kitty when we bought it. Kitty has been gone now for, she passed in 2015. So it was 11 years. And we got it. Yeah, so we've had this plant probably maybe closer to 15 years. So new life for it as well. Maybe we should really start watering it um, every now and then. I think he transplanted it too. Yeah, it was in a decorative dish that had rocks in it. It's the way I bought it. It was an impulse buy. I bought it in a grocery store one day. So it looks now like he's put in dirt, got rid of the rocks. That might help too. Yeah. You can tell I really have a green thumb, can't you? Yeah, I don't. Um, okay, so how about what things are doing on the patio? Well, I just want to take this one picture. You're going to say, oh, why do you have colorful little windmills there? All right, that's the strawberry plant. There's another one out there too. It's not in the picture. Walter read that, the birds like to come down and eat your berries. Um, but apparently something shiny that moves scares them away. So he ordered this very pretty, a bunch of them, windmills from Amazon, and he stuck them in the plants. Well, this has got him going now. We were in the dollar store the other day, and he found a bunch more windmills that are kind of metallic. They're for Canada Day, actually. So he bought about 6 of those. I think he's going to stick more of them in all the other pots, too. So it'll look really pretty out there. Now, my idea had been too, I had thought of this already this year, that maybe I would 3D print these kind of things. He didn't want to wait for me to 3D print them. He said, yeah, he wanted shiny ones. I can't make them shiny. So, yeah, he bought these. So we'll see if this works, and we'll see what happens with these strawberries that are happening here. Now, he did buy the other day some pet straw or something. They call it, the kind of thing you put in a guinea pig or gerbil's cage kind of a deal. And he's going to put that all under here underneath the plant to, keep these from touching the soil and rotting. That's the theory. We'll see how that works. So things on the deck are growing really well. And as I've said many times before, this is the time of year I love. I love it when, well, in another couple of weeks when things get really fill out a little bit. It always looks so nice. And we can eat them. So that'll be good. Okay, and I think that's all the pictures I have of that. It is. Okay, so let's turn our attention to 3D printing. I've been searching for new things to print that are interesting, that I would prefer them to have a practical purpose to them. I'm not coming up with anything really new. I saw a thing on YouTube the other day. This woman was complaining that there's a whole saturation in the craft fair market of 3D prints, and they're like trinkets, dragons, that kind of stuff. And I love the dragons, but how many do you need? I've made quite a few of the dragons. I have given quite a few of the dragons away and whatnot. It's just, yeah. So I'm looking for new things. Now, the other day I saw, and I might give it another try, it was a failed print that I ended up with for making a rotary cutter. Yeah. I'm not sure how strong that would be, though. So I'm hesitating whether I want to spend the time trying to make this rotary cutter or not. Maybe as an experiment just to see what happens. I don't know. But anyways, I'm still looking for interesting things that aren't going to find their way into landfill over time. So yeah, that's why my printers are not running right now. And there's a big sale started today. Bambu Labs on filament and all kinds of other things. And I could use a few things of filament. So after I finish here, I'm going to go to their site and stock up on some of my basic filaments as well. So that's all I've got about 3D printing right now. I was watching something from a big show they had in China, or not in China, in Japan. I'm not sure when it was. I think it was only about a week ago or so. I guess we missed it when we were in Japan. It wasn't happening then. And they were talking about all the new machines and whatnot. And I'm getting a bit itchy about possibly buying another 3D printer, a tool changer one. Snapmaker is a company I've never dealt with, but they have really good reviews about their tool changer 3D printer. And it's pretty reasonable in price as well. I just don't know where I would put it, but I'm thinking about it. Breaking out of the cycle of the Bambu labs. I love my Bambu printers. They've never given me any kind of worry, really, since I bought them. But the Snapmaker one, it's supposed to be less poop, printer poop, less waste. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Just thinking about it. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, that's the only thing I've got to talk about in the 3D printers. So something though that of point of interest, I came upon this by accident in my feed on YouTube. It is hilarious. It is a site called British Brainrot, and they do all kinds of parodies about life, on companies, on products, on services and stuff. And even though it's done from a British point of view, I think most of them are very relatable to our own lives here in North America as well. So I made a little video about that, and I'm going to insert it here. If you want something that's just ridiculously funny and takes your mind off of the worries of this world, then I suggest you go to YouTube and look up British Brainrot. This is hilarious. It's a whole series of short little parodies about British life. A lot of them parody some of their commercials, but many more just parody a lot of things that, even though it's British, we can all identify with. It's hilarious. And once you get watching just one, you're going to go down a rabbit hole and keep watching and watching and watching. So check out British Brainrot. So there's a link to Brainrot in the show notes. Check it out if you want a good laugh. And the videos are all very short. They run anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes. And they're just hilarious, and they're extremely addictive. You will go down a rabbit's warren with that. Okay, so I think that's it for me today. And tune in tomorrow for the Idiot Quilter. And later in the week, So Chatty. I already have the topic for So Chatty. We're going to look at something. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm not that creative." Well, are you not? Or are those people that are really creative? Is there a special creative gene they were born with? We're going to explore that kind of thing, creativity, in a little bit more detail on So Chatty this week. So I hope you'll join in. And then, of course, we have Stephen and Walter live, as always, on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What our topic for that will be this week, I have no idea. Hopefully, I'll have an idea before we do it. Yeah, and I probably will. Okay, I hope you have a great week. And I hope the weather wherever you are is going to be nice so you can get out there and enjoy it. Because, before we know it, it'll be fall, at least for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. And it, repeat, rinse and repeat, snow, cold, and everything else. So let's enjoy the summer while it's here. Okay, have a good one. Bye for now. Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.